Hey.
Is this really how we're starting the show?
And we are live. What is up, everybody? And welcome to episode 49 of the Hot Stove Podcast. I'm your host, Zach Nunez, joined as always by everyone, including Connor. He's also here. He's saying something in the chat right now. But anyways, yeah, I thought that bit was funny. Where we just sat there and looked at the camera for 10 seconds.
I liked it.
I thought it was a funny bit.
It was a pretty solid bit.
Yeah. Anywho, podcast stuff. We're back. We didn't do one last week. We're doing one this week. So, I actually don't think I updated the Fanduel standings last week. No, I did. Okay. Yeah, we're good. Never mind. Excuse me. My bizzle. Anyways, a couple things before we get started. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at HotStovePod. That's at HotStovePod on Twitter. Then here on the YouTube side, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the thumbs up button. That's also liking the video. Do that twice actually, but do it a third time because if you like it a second time, it's gonna unlike it. So then you gotta like it a third time so it likes it. Yep. Hit the notification bell after you subscribe so you know when we post content, and also comment if you want to leave a comment. Yeah, we're gonna be doing. I keep promising fun things that we never do. So, for certain, sometime in the month of December, we'll be doing a After Dark episode about our favorite Christmas movies. You can book that one.
Mark,
hell yeah!
You have to watch a certain Chanukah movie.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, we're gonna watch 8 Crazy Nights before we make that video.
We can't hear Josh.
Yeah, we can't hear. Yeah. Anyways, today on the show. Oh, also radio.
Now. We lose Josh.
You're real quiet.
Yeah, you're real quiet now.
Mother
of. Anyways, radio show. I hope you listened to the radio show this morning where we talked about football. And
what about now?
You're good now. Earlier this morning, Mark told us all about a great aviation fact in the history of Syracuse, New York. You know, Mark is a big fan of Syracuse aviation history.
I am a huge fan.
And it was a really good fact that he gave us. So I hope you listened and caught Mark's aviation fact. I don't know what we talked about because this is in the future or in the past. Wait. So how does time work?
I have no idea.
We're recording this the night before the radio show, but this comes out after the radio show. Mm-hmm. So in the past, as you're seeing it, you, the audience, has not happened for us, the creators, yet.
And the radio show starts in like a half an hour. We're recording so late, but
yeah, that's true. That's true. Josh was too busy arguing about a fantasy league with his family.
Dude, he's back with a vengeance. He started texting me after an hour of nothingness again. He's like, so I'm out of the league. I'm out of the league because I can't drop my quarterbacks. You think that's unfair?
The answer is yes. All right. Good. Yeah, that's yes. You answered the question. Yes. Anywho, yeah, that's about it. So make sure to tune in to the radio show next week as well on December 7th. I think it is.
6th?
I don't know if it'll be our last show of the semester. Haven't figured that one out yet. It's going to depend on how long I will be here in Connecticut. But December 7th, we'll definitely have a show. Make sure to tune into that. And also be on the lookout. 2021 Stovey Awards coming soon. Full show.
The most wonderful time of the year, people say.
Yes. So we got a lot of content coming this December before we head into the new year. So a couple things before we get started. Also, as per usual, drink them if you got them. This time I have a Party Jam Blueberry Ale from Kermit Thrush Brewery in Brattleboro, Vermont. I've had it for a while, and I'm just now drinking it. It is a kettle soured wild ale with blueberry. It's pretty good.
Josh is drinking a candle.
What scent is that candle?
It's actually the best Yankee Candle scent they have. It's discontinued right now, but lemon lavender, it'll make a baby in your mouth. It's pretty great.
Okay. Yeah, in your mouth. What are you drinking, Mark?
Classic. It's the Blue Moon.
Classic Blue Moon. Austin, do you have anything? You have any beverages going on?
Oh, I might.
Also, the Seahawks just recovered an onside kick, so that's cool.
I got a Labatt Blue here that I could crack open just for the show.
Sounds good. Boom.
There's that one.
Josh is the only one without. So
it's pretty warm. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm fine, man.
It's okay. Also, drink water. Be hydrated.
This is all the hydration I need.
This is a very loose show so far.
Very.
So Fanduel stuff, just to catch up. Josh went with a gimmick lineup again, like he did last time, and it didn't work.
What?
He finished with 83 points in last place.
83. How many did you guys get? Like 85? 87?
Austin also went with a gimmick lineup, started only players from Thanksgiving, and scored 110 points in third place. Pretty good. Myself, depending on what happens here, I guess I could technically. I'm 20 points behind Mark. There's really no shot of me catching him, but I finished with 128 points, and Mark had 148 points. So Mark had a great lineup this week.
Yeah, that's a pretty solid score.
If you told me I would have 150 points while Jalen Hurts got me 9.
I know, that's...
Yeah. Oh, he had Leonard Fournette in the Dolphins defense, so that kind of did it, you know?
Yeah.
Anywho, we'll get into FanDuel later in the show.
Can't wait.
Josh still has to set his lineup, but in the meantime, I'm not holding it against you. I'm just saying you gotta set your lineup.
Yeah.
I got trivia for you.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah. So
perfect. I got a second monitor. I mean,
so
what?
Trivia time.
Hands.
Baseball trivia. We've got 3 active players. Actually, I don't know if that's correct because give me 1 second. Anywho, there are 3 active players who have had a launch angle at or below 0 in a season in their career.
Okay.
Seems wildly low.
I want you to tell me those 3 active players.
David Fletcher.
No.
Damn it.
What?
Just straight ground ball dudes. Or line drive, I guess. I mean, what is this question? Who are the worst hitters of all time? Like
Raimel Tapia.
It's not Raimel Tapia somehow.
Damn it. Those are my
what's
2
that
best
guy's
guesses.
name? Fucking everybody else knows his name. I don't know his name.
Okay,
he played for the White Sox. I think he played. He's a terrible player.
Paul
Larry Garcia.
It's neither of those.
No.
Ozzie Smith.
Current players, active players.
Oh,
Ozzie Smith's been in the Hall of Fame since like 1998.
yeah, he's old.
Paul Konerko played 20 years ago. I'll give you a hint.
Okay.
They're all, well, at the time that they did it, they were in the National League.
John Birdie.
No, it's not John Birdie. I'll give you the years as well.
Okay.
All right, that's going to help.
2015 National League outfielder who's currently a National League out. He's currently still plays in the National League. Then we have 2019 National League catcher, currently an American League catcher. 2019 National League first baseman with the same team that he was in 2019?
Jason Castro.
No, it's not Jason Castro.
This feels like an impossible list.
It's not.
I have very little.
Well, Yasmani Grandal.
No.
Cody Bellinger.
I mean, that would be Cody Bellinger. That dude's launch angle
I'll give you a hint. The guy who did it in 2015 is also an MVP winner.
Christian Yelich.
Christian Yelich is correct. In 2015, Christian Yelich had a launch angle of 0 degrees.
What?
Let that one sink in, folks.
That's like impossible.
Well, the other two had negative launch angles, so.
Omar Narvaez.
No.
That's a good guess.
The catcher was relevant for the first month or so of the season.
No.
This season?
Yeah. Austin knows where I'm going with this.
No, I don't.
Wilson Ramos?
Wilson Ramos in 2019 had a launch angle
of my God.
negative 0.1 degrees. But there's a current National League first baseman who in 2019 is not Joey Votto, who in 2019 had a launch angle of negative 1.5 degrees.
Negative 1.5. He's a first baseman. Jesus.
Ground ball. You said National League. Damn. And Miguel Sano doesn't hit the ball enough to qualify, so
that's true.
He actually just strikes out too much, so he doesn't have enough hits.
I figured out that guy's name. Damn it.
Did Mark give a guess?
Eric
Hosmer.
Eric Hosmer is correct.
Wow.
Eric Hosmer, we've talked about him a couple times in the show because he hits nothing but ground balls. But then in 2020, he learned how to lift the ball. So we thought that like at the age of 30 that maybe Eric Hosmer was starting to be good. And then 2021 happened, and he just started hitting balls into the dirt again. So, yeah. Eric Hosmer had a negative launch angle in 2019. I thought Victor Robles was also one of them. He was not. I had to go look up his stats. Anywho, that's it. Yelich, Ramos.
I figured out that guy's name, Nick Madrigal.
Oh, nice.
Nick Madrigal.
He seems like a guy who would do that.
Yeah.
That's it for that. What else we're gonna do? We're gonna talk about baseball today, right?
Oh, that's all you had for trivia?
Yep, that's it. That was the only trivia.
Oh, okay.
Told you this episode's gonna be two things. It's gonna be loose. I didn't actually say that beforehand, but it's ended up being a very loose episode. And it's going to be... What is that?
What's the second thing?
Quick, just like Josh's second.
Loose and quick. What is my girl here? What are we talking about? What are we doing? Oh.
Yeah.
I love you, babe. I love you.
That's funny.
Rodney Dangerfield is cracking up from the grave.
Oh, come on. What are you talking about? Losing fucking touch.
That's Sylvester Stallone.
No, it was Rodney. You couldn't hear it through these fucking things, they stink. I'm doing it. I sound just like Caddyshack over here.
You sounded more like Rodney when you were talking about your mic than you did when you were doing an impression.
Yeah, man, it's a tough night, okay? This guy is relentless. You want to hear the analogy? I can't say the analogy he had. I used the pooping on the floor out in the concert analogy. I liked that one. He then responded, it was like getting kicked out of a concert because he had two blunts in his mouth when everyone else was smoking. They got one. And I'm like, no. No one was smoking the same blunt you were. You were smoking PCP. Everyone else was smoking.
Right.
Everyone else just had good old marijuana.
it's like walking into like a Dead and Company concert, and instead of rolling a joint, you light up a crack pipe.
Yeah.
Like that's what he was doing.
So you can't do that here, man. Come on.
Like, what the hell? You're just smoking crack? Like, what are we doing here? Yeah, so we're gonna talk about baseball. And first, before we talk about some of the biggest signings and the Rangers and the Mets, basically, Mark, I want you to complain for a second.
Oh boy.
We're gonna rehash this conversation that we had earlier, but not a lot. I don't want this to take 7 hours. I just want to talk about this one guy who was, because we're at some point within the next month or so, we're gonna do our Hall of Fame episode. Like we do every year. And there's a dude bro who goes, his Snapchat is not working. What's his name, Mark? You know his name?
No, I can get it up though. I don't remember his name.
His name is Steve Marcus.
Yes.
Steve Marcus tweeted today a couple things that made me upset. I kind of want to hear Austin's opinion too, because he wasn't really participating in the conversation. Steve Marcus said, "I just submitted my 2022 Hall of Fame ballot with no selections. I omitted the usual PED suspect and at his own request, Kurt Schilling, because Kurt Schilling's a baby, and strongly considered Scott Rowland, but determined Rowland does not compare with the elite third baseman already in Cooperstown." Now, first of all, I've said it before, and I'll say it again on the show. If you're part of the Baseball Writers Association of America, or any association that gets to vote on stuff, and you just choose to not vote, like, think about it this way. If you vote for, like, NFL MVP and submit a ballot with no votes on it, you're not getting another.
Yeah.
You just choose not to vote for MVP one year. They're not going to let you vote for MVP next year. You know? So
it's ridiculous.
I maintain that any person, and there's a bunch of dudes in the Baseball Writers Association of America who do this, don't care how prestigious, how long they've been writing for baseball, how long they've been writing, how long they've been there. Don't care. Probably a long time, because, you know, baseball's an old man's club. And they love just like J&O, like other old dudes. But if you receive a ballot from the Baseball Writers Association of America for a Hall of Fame vote and you return it blank, you should not be allowed. You should have your ballot redacted. Moving forward, you should have it permanently taken away from you.
Yeah.
I don't care. I have other problems with the Baseball Hall of Fame being really selective. Like this guy not voting for Scott Rowland because he doesn't fit the criteria of the other 7 first basemen that are in the Hall of Fame.
Third baseman.
But even more so, like, imagine, like, I don't understand how people at the Hall of Fame, like, see that and they're okay with it. Like, yeah, that makes sense. This guy's just allowed to vote for nobody. You know? They're just like, yeah, that's cool, right? Because you know what that is? It's him getting a ballot, looking at it, and saying, you know what? Fuck your ballot. I'm not voting for anybody. Don't feel like it. Yeah?
There is no logical argument to look at this ballot this year and say none of these guys are deserving to be in the Hall of Fame. There is not a single logical argument.
I personally believe that there's no logical argument to do that any year, even if it's a weak class. You can't tell me that there's not every single
weak.
Yeah, I can see where that could be the case. I can see if that were to happen, like, that wouldn't surprise me if it was just like, okay, this is the weakest class.
I'm sorry to keep interjecting, but I can't foresee a situation where the class is so bad that there's not a single Hall of Fame caliber player on the ballot. I can't see it happening.
I'm not saying it will, but I'm saying, like, it wouldn't surprise me if it were to happen.
In a hypothetical. Yeah. By the way, I'd just like to interject one more time and say Jonas Valanciunas is 7 for 7 from 3
tonight.
tonight,
this
and
year.
it's halftime tonight.
What the fuck? He's having a minute bowl game.
He's 7 of 7 from 3 at halftime tonight.
How many points does he have?
Turn on the Pelicans game at all costs. What is? Let me see.
At least 21.
Yeah, TNT. Well, yeah, I
That's
know
right.
that. That's what I'm saying. Is he having like a go off night, or is he just
29. He's got 29 right now
Pretty good.
at the
How the hell
half.
can I watch this?
Big man.
But
NBA TV.
I can see a situation where that would happen in a complete hypothetical that is a legitimate thing that could happen. This year is not one of those years. Okay, let's say, you know what? I'm not going to vote for anyone associated with steroids. So you eliminate Bonds, Clemens, Sosa, Manny, A-Rod,
I, for one,
Big
think
Papi.
you have that position. You're a bum, but that's beside the point.
Well, yeah, but there's a lot of writers who have that opinion, and I personally somewhat respect that opinion. So, let's just say you do that. So you eliminate all the steroid guys. We're still talking Scott Rowland, who, like you said, there have been 8 third basemen voted in by the Baseball Writers Association of America. We're talking 80 years almost. It was 75 this year. This year was the 75th anniversary, or it might have been last year.
75th anniversary of the Hall of Fame.
Hall of Fame.
Not only that, baseball as a sport has been around for almost 150 years.
Mm-hmm.
I talked about this earlier today in the chat. This year in 2021, we crossed the 20,000th player to play in Major League Baseball. You're telling me there are only 7 guys at that position worthy of getting a plaque at Cooperstown? I don't believe it. I don't believe you when you say that.
And there are more than 7. There were 8 voted in by the writers. Paul Molitor's sort of weird. Some people consider him a DH. Some people consider him a third baseman. I've always considered him a third baseman. But there's been 8 voted in by the writers and 9 let in by the Veterans Committee. Just even looking at some of those guys let in by the Veterans Committee. The only reason Ron Santo made it into the Hall of Fame is because he died of cancer. That guy wasn't a Hall of Fame player. No, legitimately. He was well-liked in Chicago. He was a broadcaster for a long time, and so they let him in as a player. He was a fine player. He was nowhere near a Hall of Famer.
You know what bothers me? What bothers me even more is that we have to talk about how many of a position are in the Hall of Fame currently. I don't give a fuck if there's 7,000 third basemen in the Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
If he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, put him in the fucking Hall of Fame.
But the thing with his argument about Scott Rowland, and this is where I'm going to focus, because out of all of the people he left off his ballot, like, he said no one, steroids, whatever. Like, and Kurt Schilling, he asked not to be voted for because you're right, he's a baby.
Kurt Schilling is the biggest baby.
So if you don't want to vote for him for that reason, fine. But that brings us to Scott Rowland. He's the top guy left, where it's like, okay, he's the one that I would vote for if I was going to vote for anyone. And Scott Rowland, aside from being one of the best defensive third basemen of all time, I mean, we are talking legitimate all-time great defender in Scott Rowland. I saw a stat, it was like players with 300 home runs and 150 defensive runs saved. There's like 7 of them, and Scott Rowland is one of them. It's
pretty good.
He's in a very elite club. And you say, he doesn't stack up to the elite third baseman. Well, let's think about the elite third baseman in the Hall of Fame. Chipper Jones, Eddie Matthews, Mike Schmidt, who's arguably the greatest third baseman of all time. Like, Brooks Robinson.
There's only 7 of them in this hall. All 7 of them are arguably the most greatest third baseman.
Like,
yeah.
But, none of these guys outside of Pie Traynor, who was part of like the second class or something. He's been in since the 30s. He played in like the 1910s. Outside of him, the rest of the guys, it's like, some people say it's Brooks Robinson. Some people say it's Mike Schmidt. Some people say it's Eddie Matthews. Some people say Chipper Jones. Like, these are the type of guys we're talking about. Is Scott Rowland on their level? Of course he fucking isn't. like Larry Walker isn't Hank Aaron.
Wait a minute.
If we're
Yeah,
talking
that's
about comparing positions,
Right.
Yeah.
Like it's
Mark,
not his fault, actually.
Larry Walker is a Hall of Famer. He's not Hank Aaron. He's not Babe Ruth. Like, he's still a Hall of Famer. And I
Yeah.
get right field is deeper than third base is historically, but I mean, Scott Rowland's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, and this is why baseball really sucks, though, right? Because like a guy like Pie Traynor and Pee Wee Rice are in the Hall of Fame for being garbage white like losers from
Reese.
1912.
It's Pee Wee
Pee Wee
Reese.
Reese, Pee Wee Rice. Who cares? He's a loser. And then guys, I mean, half of the starting second basemen today are better than those chumps, and probably will put up lower stats, but it doesn't matter. Like, a guy like Barry Bonds isn't going to be in the Hall because he was too good for baseball for a little bit. What are we talking about? He took a little juice. Who cares? And Pie Traynor is in the Hall of Fame. You call yourself a Hall of Fame? What the fuck are we talking about?
It's
what
like I
are
mentioned
we,
the other
Pie
guy earlier.
Traynor?
The Phillies writer who voted for Clemens, Sosa, Manny, and I think A-Rod. Those are the four. He voted for all four of them, but didn't vote for Barry Bonds. But then he also voted for Jimmy Rollins and Ryan Howard. I mean,
I heard a lot of news about there was a bunch of ballots turned in with Clemens on it and Bonds off it.
That is
don't understand that.
Unbelievable.
You should get your ballot taken forever if you're leaving Bonds off, but you're putting another Reuter on. It doesn't make sense. It makes no sense.
Maybe the steroids they were taking had more of an impact on the arm or on the legs than the arm. You know.
Listen, Clemens and Bonds. Like, people have this link with them, and it's like they came on the ballot at the same time. You know, they're both like they were the face of the steroid era for their respective positions. When you break it down, they're the same. Like, Clemens as a pitcher is what Bonds was as a hitter. He doesn't have the most like strikeouts or the most wins like Barry Bonds has home runs, but 7 Cy Young awards for Clemens, 7 MVPs for Bonds. Bonds is first in home runs. I think Clemens is third in strikeouts, maybe second.
We can stop there. 7 times you were voted the best pitcher in your league. 7 times voted the best player in your league for Barry Bonds.
Yeah.
I got a fun little stat here. Sorry, I'm going to go back to our favorite guy now, Pie Traynor.
Over 20 fucking years.
Yeah, what were Pie Trainor's stats?
Well, I just got a fun stat. Speaking about
okay.
leading the league, right? So don't cheat. Pie Traynor, led the league in 3 different stats listed on Pro Baseball Reference throughout his career. Name the 3 stats. Anything from like plate appearances, at bats to slugging percentage. Name the 3 stats.
I'm sorry, Josh. I had to look it up. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Hit by pitches.
No. Austin, anybody else? One of them makes sense. Yes, games. He led the league in games in 1933, one of his 2 All-Star seasons. There are 2 left.
Plate appearances?
No. One is a type of hit, like one is a base, like so. Yeah.
Doubles.
That's pretty. No.
Triples.
He led the league in triples in 1923 with 19, and then he led this other stat twice. This is a stat that he led the league in twice in his career. One of the 3.
I'm trying to think what else would even be on there. Sacrifice flies.
Sacrifice hits, Mark. In
Sorry,
that's
in
why
1927 and 1928, he was a sacrifice hitter. He had 42 sacrifice hits in the 1928 season.
Right. I mean, let's be real here. I'm looking at it right now.
This guy's
1,941 games over 17 years. Hit 320 with a 362 on base.
Mm-hmm.
Want to normalize it for like greater numbers? You say, oh, it was a different time. Career OPS plus, a stat that obviously wasn't around when he played, of 107. So he was an average baseball player.
I think Scott Rowland's OPS plus is like 127.
Yeah. I mean, let's be real here. He played after the rabbit ball and only hit 58 home runs in 17 seasons.
Mm-hmm. The people like this. It goes down to the problem that Nunez and I mentioned at the exact same time earlier, which was rather strange. Why is this just writers? Baseball Media of America Association. Have play-by-play guys in there. Have guys that have covered the sport. Like I mentioned Bob Costas. Bob Costas has been covering baseball since the fucking 70s when he started with the Cardinals. Like, what are we doing? Why does that guy not have a vote? I trust what Bob Costas has to say a hell of a lot more than I trust some of these writers. I mean, this guy we mentioned earlier with the blank ballot, he's formerly of the New York Daily News. He doesn't even write for the New York Daily News anymore.
Oh, yeah. You don't actually have to currently be writing. I told you, my professor, I have a for my digital essentials class on Wednesdays, had a ballot.
Mm-hmm.
But he doesn't write for baseball anymore, so he turned it in. Because he didn't feel like he's like, I don't cover baseball anymore. I don't feel like I should be allowed to vote for it.
Which that's the right thing to do.
You get to keep the ballot after you finish your career as a baseball writer.
Mm-hmm.
What are we doing?
That's a disaster.
Mark, could you do me a favor? Actually, another thing that you'll probably mention to us on the show tomorrow morning. Maybe tell me what prompted Pie Trainer to make a comeback at the age of 38 after being retired for 2 years, and he came back to play 5 games. Was he in some sort of mob trouble? Did he need the money?
Yeah,
maybe find that out.
Probably something like that.
Yeah, I'm just really interested to know more.
All-time greats who
Pie
leave for
Trainer.
2 years usually have a gambling issue.
Yeah.
Unless you're Minnie Mignoso, who isn't in the Hall of Fame and then just kept coming back and played when he was like 55 because he wanted to.
I mean, this guy died like a year after my dad was born. What the fuck? What are we doing? I know baseball is the pastime, this and that. They need to have an old man Hall of Fame for guys who could walk around the bases and be inducted into the Hall of Fame. And then they need a Hall of Fame for players who actually played the...
And we lost Josh again.
And Josh
He's gone.
But also, okay, so in the interest of moving this on,
it's a modern game. I was whole thing.
There, you're back.
Don't even get me started.
I had a rant.
We're gonna have this whole conversation again in a month when we do this episode. Trust me.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is gonna come back to roost the next time we talk about the Baseball Hall of Fame. But don't even get me started with the fact there are only like 5 relievers in the Baseball Hall of Fame currently.
Don't even get me started on Billy Wagner. I've had this guy on my fictional ballot since he got on the ballot. That guy was incredible. No.
He still hasn't been inducted? Oh my god.
Billy Wagner's never gotten more than like 15% of the vote. This guy is like the highest
6% of the last year.
Oh, did he? So he took a big jump. Good. Billy Wagner struck out like 12 guys per 9 innings before anyone was striking anyone out.
He's got over 400 career saves.
Yeah, 420 saves, like a 2.4 ERA or something.
His career K per 9 was 11.9. With a 2.7.
Sick.
With a 2.31 ERA.
And this guy isn't in the Hall of Fame for what reason? Because he didn't throw 1,000 innings? Whatever. The innings he threw, he was incredible.
Also, he was a reliever who pitched for 16 years.
Mm-hmm. His last season with the Braves, he was the closer ahead of some guy. I don't know if you've heard of him. His name was Craig Kimbrell. He had like a 1.5 ERA and 40 saves. He was like 38 years old.
I don't give. What is this? You don't throw 1,000 innings. You don't deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. Go fuck yourself. What are we doing here? What is this?
I get it. He's not Goose Gossage holding down 3 inning saves every 2 days. Like whatever, dude.
This is the worst part about baseball to me. By the way, when it comes to the Hall of Fame, is like these imaginary benchmarks that we made up. That like you have to hit these to be Hall of Fame. Like 300 home runs. What if a guy was elite and hit like 275 home runs? We're just not going to let him in because he didn't hit 300 home runs?
How about the... Well, it's like the number has been like 500. How about Fred McGriff, who hit 493, and people were claiming it's because he didn't get to 500. He played during 1994. He missed like 60 games.
Also, come on now. 7 home runs difference. And we're going to be like, oh, I don't know if he should be in the Hall of Fame. The crime dog? Come on.
And then there's the people who's like, oh, this guy was a compiler. Omar Vizquel still had 2,800 hits.
Who cares if he's a compiler? Is that are all compilers automatically bad? Like what the hell are we doing here? What are we doing? Anybody with longevity is a compiler.
Yeah. It's
Darren Sproles, a person who I argue should be in the NFL Hall of Fame.
Yes, he should be. Damn right he should be.
Half the bums in the Hall of Fame are compilers. I mean, what are we talking about?
And,
they're compilers, and half the dudes in the Baseball Hall of Fame, all they did was compile batting average in the 1920s. All right?
mm-hmm.
This is what we're talking about with compilers. All they did was compile batting average.
But then if a guy only plays 13 years, they're like, he didn't play long enough. When his numbers for 13 years were elite, they're like, yeah, no, he didn't have the longevity. What is it you want?
What are we talking? A baker's dozen years isn't long enough, apparently.
Yeah. It's unbelievable how stupid baseball writers are. Anyway, BBWAA, I technically write about baseball. Give me a vote. I'll fix your entire system.
Yeah, I can't even campaign for a vote because I don't worry about baseball. Ridiculous.
I've written like 3 articles about baseball. Come on now.
Anyway, got a lot of free agent news to talk about. So we figured this would be a good time to do a baseball podcast because the lockout is coming in a couple of days. And we don't really know what's going to happen with the baseball season this upcoming year. From what I've heard, from the most part, likely we'll have a full season. Everything that I've heard from people who have been reporting on it have basically said, like, most likely time for the end of lockout is going to be sometime in February, because owners are obviously too afraid of losing money to games, so they'll just compromise and in enough time to have a full spring training, basically. Which makes the whole situation even dumber, but
yeah,
that is what it is. I'm sure when the lockout reaches day 100, we'll have another podcast about it. But in the meantime, before then, a lot of players are looking to snatch up some extra guaranteed money a little bit, huh?
And they are.
Over $1 billion have been committed in terms of guaranteed money to players in the last 48 hours. Jeff Paston, friend of the show, tweeted earlier today that the record for an offseason was in 2019. And that was
all of those are Scott Boras clients as well.
Yeah, $2.4 billion in 2019. Yeah, we reached $1 billion in like 2 days. So, we're probably gonna blow by that number. I mean, we reached that money, and Carlos Correa hasn't signed yet. Trevor Story hasn't signed yet.
Yeah.
Anyway, we got a couple of important moves to talk about, right? The Mets buying. The Mets are doing the thing that they should do, especially if we want to like act like Steve Cohen knows what he's doing. Then like the only thing that he's certainly capable of doing is opening the pocketbook. So they go out, they sign Eduardo Escobar and Mark Canha, certified on-base god Mark Canha, and Starling Marte, and went out and signed Max Scherzer to, in terms of annual value, the biggest contract in baseball history at $43 million a year over 3 years. Woo!
I'm very plugged into like all the baseball insiders and shit. And at first they were like, yeah, Max Scherzer's looking around like 3 at 30 a year. It was like 3 for 90, maybe 3 for 100. Then all of a sudden it was 3 for 110, and then it was 3 for 120. It just kept going up. And he ended up signing.
It was 3 for 130.
And I mean, I personally think it's a great move by the Mets.
I mean, like I said, they're doing the thing that they needed to do, right?
But we're talking Scherzer and DeGrom stay healthy next year. We're talking the best 1-2 since Maddox Smoltz.
Yeah.
We're talking legitimate all-time 1-2 punch. And
yeah, and I don't know. I probably shouldn't be reading this much into it, but part of it tells me that them doing this doesn't mean great things for Jacob deGrom's elbow. I'm
I don't
pretty.
think it's.
I don't know if I should read into it like that, but I'm also pretty heavily convinced that he's not actually healthy.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see what happens in spring training, but
I don't tend to think of it like that.
His elbow explodes after like 30 innings.
Yeah,
basically.
But even still, I mean, talk about a nice luxury to have, where you're like, oh, our 2-time Cy Young winner went down. We'll just put the 3-time Cy Young winner at the top of the rotation and go from there.
Yeah.
And like, I know, I was just gonna say, I know Scherzer's 37. He's one of those guys like Verlander, like a couple of years ago. I don't care how old he is; he's just that good.
Age doesn't matter until it does. Basically,
yeah.
Like,
imagine if a team had a guy like Verlander and Scherzer,
and David Price and Robbie Ray and
we're talking about
the Tiger. All of these guys were on the 2014 Tigers.
Robbie Ray was on the Tigers team.
Yeah, he came up as a Tiger.
Damn.
And
my
Rick Porcello is a number 5
when it comes to
guy.
age, especially in baseball players, until you actually start showing signs of aging, I don't care how old you are.
Mm-hmm.
Basically. And again, maybe it happens in 2022. I'm not going to predict it. I don't really have the evidence to predict it. Sure, it'll probably happen at some point, but
I say legitimately, if the Mets get 1.5 good years out of this deal, it was a good deal.
Yeah, if they get one good season out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, granted, they have to make good on that one good season. It can't be a one great season out of Max Scherzer in which they like lose in the wild card game.
Mm-hmm.
That's not worth it. But I said yesterday, I don't really have much to offer on it. Like, yeah, the Mets added one of the best pitchers of all time to a rotation with one of the best pitchers of all time.
And
we'll see.
Listen, the old baseball writers are going to be even more mad at you. Jacob deGrom doesn't even have 100 wins yet, buddy. Come on now.
Yeah, they can eat my peen. All right. He's not. He plays for the Mets and they suck, so he's not going to reach 200 wins in his career. And they're going to throw. Oh my God! How many wins does Jacob deGrom have?
I think he has like 90.
So here's the problem. He legitimately.
And he's like 32.
He legitimately might not win 150 games in his career.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm sorry. He has 77 wins.
Okay, so he likely won't win 150 games in his career.
Mm-hmm.
But he probably will get there. I mean, he'll probably pitch for a long time. Anyways.
He's 33, dude. Like,
yeah.
And his elbow's about to explode.
I mean, that's going to be a hellscape. Is the Jacob deGrom a Hall of Famer conversation? That's going to be the ultimate, like, smart person arguing for peak versus boomer arguing over didn't pitch for 78 years while also pitching every second day 10 innings a game.
The last 4 seasons in 91 starts, he has a 1.9 ERA and 12 strikeouts per 9.
Don't even get me started. Anywho, who else did things? Robbie Ray signed with the Mariners.
True. Getting that bag.
Yeah. Get that bag, King.
I mean,
Mariners are fun. I kind of thought the Mariners might be in on. Who else did they sign? Oh, they traded for Adam Frazier. That's what it was.
Yes.
I kind of thought they'd be in on one of those shortstops.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the Seager
like
brothers.
A little bit of a dark horse candidate. What were you saying, Josh?
Could have made them the Seager brother pair over on the left side of the infield.
Yeah, except for some reason they don't want to bring Kyle Seager back. So
yeah, he's also a free agent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the Rangers can do it then.
The Rangers can do it. They don't really have a third baseman.
Fair.
The Mariners interest me. This is interesting to me. I still don't think they just weren't that good this past year. They had a negative run differential, and they just happened to win 90 games.
Yeah.
Like, they were so lucky in an unsustainable manner. They remind me of not the Blue Jays, the Orioles from like the early 2010s, where it was just like
that 2015 Orioles team.
Yeah,
is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, even before then, before it was Britton in the closer role, but when it was Jim Johnson, and it's like, yeah, the Orioles have won 72 one-run games this year, and it's like, do you really expect that to be sustainable? That's what the Mariners were this year. Fun fact: my high school baseball coach coached him in a travel ball league, and then he had 50 saves in back-to-back years.
That's a fun fact.
But it's like, I don't understand how they expect it to be sustainable. I know you like Mitch Haniger. You've got a ton of really good prospects.
For me, the reason to get behind the Mariners, and I am personally, is because they had the success, and they're obviously adding pieces to it with Adam Frazier and Robbie Ray. Mm-hmm. And then you can assume that they're young players like a Ty France, like Kyle Lewis, like Jake Fraley, who kind of broke out this last year, for example, continue to get better.
Is that the young man? Who's the guy that got called up? No, like the number one overall guy.
Jared Kelenic.
Yeah. Oh, Jared. I even forgot about Jared Kelenic. Mm-hmm. Jared Kelenic, right? Logan Gilbert continues to improve, right? Even then, in terms of guys who haven't made their debut, still have the number one prospect in baseball, just kind of waiting there. You know?
Is Julio Rodriguez number one prospect now?
He's number 2 to Adley Rutschman. It kind of depends on where you look. They'll have some combination of Rutschman, Rodriguez, and Bobby Witt in like the top. But, they have that, and they got another top 20 I forgot his name, the pitcher.
Name. The one who came up at the end of last year and just had the filthiest curveball.
Different pitcher. They have a different, really high level pitching prospect.
George Kirby?
Yes, George Kirby.
Oh, yeah.
So they're kind of like right in the time, right? And with Frazier and Robbie Ray, it's not like they're locking them in for 1-year deals, right? Like this is a put the team together, let them grow together, kind of multi-year thing right now.
Yeah, and like I get it. It's just I know people are going to be picking the Mariners to win 95 games this year. And I wouldn't be surprised if instead of 95, it was 85, 81. Like, you expect your good young players to get better. You also expect the luck factor to regress to the mean in a huge way.
But it matters less if your players are better. Like you can fight against this. You can fight against some of that regression if your overall roster just improves.
Well, yeah, and
that offsets.
Well, yeah, and the run differential and stuff like that had them pegged as like a 78 win team, and instead they won 90. So if they cancel each other out, I'm thinking 85. Like, I don't think they're going to get better this year.
I think they'll get better in the division or anything. I'm just saying that.
Yeah.
The future is exciting for Mariners fans.
Sure. I'd say 2-3 years from now, we're talking about a legitimate contender. But this upcoming year, I don't see it quite yet. And that goes for the Rangers as well. I mean,
the Rangers aren't even close at the moment. I don't really think they should be talked about in the same. I mean, even with signing Corey Seager and Marcus Semien, they don't have a good lineup.
No,
those are the only 2 good players on their team.
Yeah, like Adolis Garcia was great until July.
Yeah, until the Majors figured him out.
Yeah, and
there's a reason he was a 28-year-old rookie. No, let's be honest.
So you've got 2 guys to build around in the lineup. Then they got Cole Calhoun, which whatever.
partially because he's like 34 and not very good.
I like John Gray. I think John Gray is a fine piece to add to the rotation, but then again, Texas hasn't had the best track record in the past few years of
I'm
signing
excited to see what
pitchers
they
to
do with
free
John
agent
Gray,
contracts.
because like John Gray, like coming out of college, was like the tits.
Yeah, he was drafted like 4th overall by the Rockies.
Yeah, and he had to change a good bit of his arsenal to be able to pitch in course because his fastball isn't the best.
Mm-hmm. It's very flat. He doesn't have a
So
lot of life.
I wonder if they can do something with that and kind of get him back to like the kind of, get him back to pitching like the way he more naturally would rather than having to change it to play a course. I'm interested to see.
Yeah, and I think he'll do well with the Rangers, but he's going to be their opening day starter. And I think we're talking best case scenario, a mid-3 ERA.
Yeah,
like
for sure. Like I said, they don't actually have a good team.
No, but boy, oh boy, they're spending plenty of money. Jesus. Like,
yeah.
When I saw that Corey Seager deal, I was like, wait, so they're just, what are they doing?
Spending money.
And it partially goes into, okay, they got a new ballpark last year. They're a young team. They've got a lot of money available because they're not paying anybody. Like, these guys were sellers at the deadline last year. They traded Kyle Gibson to Philadelphia. They traded Joey Gallo to New York. Like,
you'd think if they were planning on doing this, like the Joey Gallo trade seems more curious now that they've done this. Like if they were planning on doing this in the offseason, you'd think they would have kept Joey Gallo, who is still under team control for like another 3 years. He's only like 27. Like, it's not like he's costing a shit ton of money. He's not.
No.
So that makes less sense for sure.
And I know he's not the best hitter in the world, but he's going to get you close to 40 home runs. And he's going to play really good defense in the outfield.
Yeah.
It just, none of this Rangers offseason makes any sense to me. I can't fault them for it because I think they're all good moves for teams to make. I just think they're the wrong team to make the moves. Like, I think the Seager deal is fair. I think the Marcus Semien deal is a little expensive, but I expected that with the lockout coming up. John Gray, that's about what I would have given him. So they're making moves that teams like the Tigers should make. I thought all of those seemed like very Tigers signings, and they were the team that I was like, okay, they're going to make big money moves this offseason. And then the Rangers are just stealing the Tigers' thunder, it seems. Unless they go out and get Correa. But those are the type of moves I expected to see Detroit make. And Texas is just now we'll do that instead. When the Tigers are in a much better position than the Rangers are right now, it just makes very little sense to me.
In a spot. I mean, the Tigers aren't dissimilar from the Mariners, to be very honest with you. I understand. I get the hype that the Tigers are getting of they overperformed last year. Now it's time to make that next move. They're a year ahead of the rebuild, right? But there's a part of me that doesn't it feel like Seattle is just the better version of that?
I don't know, because
I can't help but think that Detroit was playing even more so over their head.
I agree.
When your best hitter is Jonathan Scope and Robbie Grossman.
Yeah, it's more so that
players,
it's more so that Seattle, Scope had a really good year, and people forget he was really good with Baltimore, and then just sort of lost it for a couple. He bounced around a little bit. I think it was more of a bounce back for him.
He left Camden Yards.
Yeah,
that's part of it.
But
same thing with Jonathan VR.
But that guy was never good. But with Detroit, it's almost they feel a year ahead, but Seattle was still like Marco Gonzalez and Yusei Kikuchi. It was like these guys that I think Marco Gonzalez is a solid pitcher. I don't think Yusei Kikuchi is very good at all.
No.
But the Tigers, you look at that rotation, it's like Casey Mize, yeah, he was first overall pick out of Auburn. Like Spencer Turnbull, Tarek Skubal, Matt Manning, all these guys are like 23 years old.
Yeah, but it's not like any of them are particularly proven to be good.
Casey Mize is.
I think at this point it's fair to say that Casey Mize is only going to get better.
I mean, yeah, you could say that for any. I mean, fucking what's his face can't get any worse, right? Was it Tariq Skubal who was terrible? Who was terrible last year? Matt Manning.
No, it was Matt Manning.
Yeah, and Matt Manning can't get.
Casey Mize literally threw 150 innings with a sub-4 ERA in his first full year. I mean, I don't know.
Like that guy, and he's got it's a lot of movement. It's not just all right. I'm gonna throw my fastball by guys and let them adjust to it. It's like he throws that splitter a ton, and the splitter's really good. Great curveball, great slider. But I just feel like Detroit's in a better position right now, just because I think they're pitching looking forward, like just for next year right now looks better. I think Seattle's one more year, where I think Detroit's got a better chance next year of competing than Seattle does. It's just a year difference between the two, I think.
I think they got a better coach, too, cheating it up.
That's true.
That's true.
How about
You
that?
got a cheater behind the bench.
Yeah, who manages the Mariners?
Scott Servais, who was robbed of Manager of the Year this year.
Yes, he was. You're goddamn right. He was.
Scott
Mark.
Servais?
Anywho. Yeah, I don't know. Baseball's fun, right? We said this episode was going to be short. We're an hour in.
Tigers better sign Carlos Correa or I'm done.
Yeah, but we've backed ourselves into a corner here. If they don't sign Carlos Correa, they've got some questions to answer in Detroit.
Oh, yeah. Basically. I mean, him and Hinch had lunch together. Like,
yeah.
And
with Detroit, Torkelson and Riley Green coming up, too. This will be a fun year. This will be a fun year.
Yeah, I mean, Torkelson, like.
Yeah, it should be a fun year. I'm just saying, like, they're more similar than people make it out.
I think they're still another year away.
You know what I mean? Sure. Like from what I read, people were talking about the Tigers like they're making the jump into contention this year, which I don't necessarily believe, but it is what it is. But also, if we're gonna be doing that, you gotta put Seattle in a similar conversation. That's literally all I'm saying.
Yeah, and I think they're similar. I just, like I said, I just think Detroit's a little better position for next year than Seattle is. And we're talking Kyle Seager hit like 37
prick Justin
home runs
Verlander came back.
They would have been better if Justin Verlander came back. That's true.
I'm sorry. I'm watching. Anyone else got SportsCenter on right now? SVP?
No, I'm playing the show. I'm doing this podcast.
Sorry, they're talking about the Brian Kelly thing. And so they showed that Slack message he sent his team. And then they showed that last week in a press conference, they asked him if he would ever leave Notre Dame of his own volition outside of retirement. And he said, no, never going to happen.
I do remember that.
Last week. It wasn't like 3 years ago. It was 7 days ago. So, I mean, what?
Look,
now
Brian
we're going to have a
Kelly's
Mets fan.
Sucked, to be fair.
Huh?
Yeah.
Brian Kelly's always sucked. Like always
been good since 09.
Shit.
Yeah, I mean he's dookie cheeks. My God, he is the most winningest coach in Irish history. But I don't know, man. Who cares? Also, Lincoln Riley up and left with the entire Oklahoma coaching staff. He took everyone. He took like the D coordinator.
They still have a bowl game to play.
Yeah, and he's gone.
Their season isn't over, and everybody just up and left.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like Lincoln Riley is not there for the bowl game, right? Like, he's gone.
No, he's gone.
D coordinator, strength conditioner coach.
He's got to go recruit. He's got to go recruit.
That's the reason I hate college football. Sport is stupid.
Also, Bob Stoops is going to coach Oklahoma. He's 93 years old.
How much money How much money do you think it took to get Riley to USC? 10 million?
I saw the like an unofficial breakdown earlier.
Yeah.
It's like $110 million over 10 years.
It's a Gruden contract.
Hey, I hope he doesn't say anything racist.
Plus, there's
only
more.
hope. Oh my God.
He had 2 houses in Oklahoma. The school bought them each for $500,000 above market price. They bought him a $6 million home in LA, and he has 24/7 access to a private jet.
This is why college sports are stupid.
Dude, I don't even want to be president. I want to be a head coach for an SEC program. That's what I want to be. I think that's the most luxurious life.
You could just be the coach at Mizzou, make more money than the president, and coach a shitty football team until you get fired.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And live on a swampland like where Bobby Boucher lived with his mama. Have one of them boats that you get to drive around on with gators all around you.
This MLB The Show team, Mark. I just hit a 2-run nuke with Jacob Stallings. So.
Oh yeah. I know why you drafted him. By the way, when I was digging deeper into where people went this offseason.
Yeah. He got traded to the Marlins.
You forgot about the biggest news of the MLB offseason. The Miami Marlins for Jacob Stallings.
31-year-old catcher who's played 1 full season.
That's a Gold Glove catcher right there. Jacob Stallings headed to the Marlins. And Avisail Garcia, for whatever that's worth. But.
Yeah, see the deal he got?
He's good at baseball.
He's fine.
No, he's legitimately good.
He's fine.
Outside of Marlins homerism, Avisail Garcia, # good at baseball.
Just ask Mr. Tigers fan over here during the 2013 World Series when they were like, oh, it's Miguel Cabrera and then little Miggy hitting behind him, and it was Avisail Garcia.
Bumming sale Garcia.
Bumming sale. Good one. Good one.
2012, not 2013.
We're gonna move on here because this has gone for too long.
Don't worry, FanDuel's always the quickest part.
Yeah. So we gotta get to our FanDuel lineups this week. Mark, start with your FanDuel lineup for this week.
I will start with my FanDuel lineup this week. This is an incredible lineup. I am definitely not stalling for time as I get it. There we go. So at quarterback, one with a little stack action. One with a little Washington football team stack action.
That's gross.
It's very gross. I went with Taylor Heineke and Terry McLaurin. I almost just said Taylor McLaurin because I was thinking of Taylor Heineke. 7,100 for Heineke, 7,200 for McLaurin. Fair price. Running backs. We were talking about Boston Scott earlier, how he's not going to do it again this week. That's because this is Kenneth Gainwell's week.
No, my God.
$4,900. $4,900. All right?
You're going to make me throw up.
Oh, my God.
That's because I wanted to splurge a little. Next running back. Oh, playoff Lenny, Leonard Fournette. I'm going back to back with him. Got me 40 last week. They're playing the Falcons. P.U. Falcons stink. I think Lenny's going to do it again. $7,700. My other 2 wide receivers, I went with Hollywood Brown. Ravens are playing the Steelers. I think they're going to want to beat the doors off of them. Steelers are terrible. Give me Hollywood. I think he's going to have a big game in Pittsburgh. Mike Evans, again going to Tampa Bay. He's doing Mike Evans things, all right? He's Mike Evans. He's really good at football. Falcons are really bad at football. 7,400. Tight end, went with Dallas Goedert. I don't expect him to get as few targets as he did this past week. They're playing the Jets. I think they're going to have Hurts throw the ball again. I don't agree with it, but I think it's going to happen.
If he plays, right? I mean, he's hurt.
Well, he's questionable, but I think
even better if he doesn't.
Yeah, then Minshew's going to throw it. That.
God, I cannot wait for Gardner Minshew versus Joe Flacco on Sunday. It's going to be excellent.
it's going to be chef's kiss. 2 elite quarterbacks.
Right.
In the flex, I went with the guy who's playing god-awful run defense. He had 20 carries for 120 yards and a touchdown in the first half this past week. Give me Joe Mixon. Going to do it against the Chargers this week. Because that Chargers run defense makes me want to throw up. And because defense doesn't matter, give me the football team. That's right. We're going 3 Washington football team things.
Disgusting. All right, Josh, we'll go with you next.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, man, there's a lot to be said about this lineup. I think this is the first lineup I've done all year where I have money remaining. I have $500 remaining. That's a testament to my solid picks today. We're gonna go with a game stack here, kinda, sorta. We go to the battle of the future of the NFL. You know, these guys are going at it in the AFC conference for a while now down the road. It's the Chargers and the Bengals. I got Joe Burrow at quarterback for 7,400. I'm gonna pair him up with last week's favorite target. That's T. Higgins. At running back, I got David Montgomery and Leonard Fournette. Leonard Fournette seems to be an unstoppable force. Between him and Jonathan Taylor, they're trying to fight for the new big dog on campus. And I like Leonard Fournette in this matchup a lot against Atlanta's stinky poo-poo defense. Maybe they get up big and start running the ball. Back to that LA game for my second wide receiver. I got Keenan Allen. Nunez pointed out last week on the show, targets galore for this old man. He just will not die. Justin Herbert throws it up to Old Yeller every time he can. Go Keenan Allen. Then last wide receiver on the team, we go to another AFC West game. It's Denver and Kansas City. I find Jerry Jeudy for 6,100. I got a lot to talk about. I feel like he's just had too many bad games. People keep telling me he's pretty good. I keep telling him he's not because he's in the same class as CeeDee Lamb, and why would I admit that Jeudy was at all equal to him? And so Jeudy stinks, but Jeudy is going to prove me wrong because Kansas City stinks worse. Maybe we'll have that bum who forced a turnover last week guard him. The guy with all the memes, Eric Strallman. You know what I'm talking about. Come on, Nunez, hit me. You got.
I don't know what you're talking about. Can you just finish your bet?
Safety.
The bum on Kansas City gives up a touchdown every week.
I don't actually know who it is.
Daniel Sorensen?
Bang.
Yes,
thank you. Okay. Sorry, going on. I'll finish this up here real quick. Don't worry about it. Real quick. It's quick. Tight end is Washington. I'm sticking with Mark. Mark convinced me. Logan Thomas, he was back tonight. He was featured. He likes him. What can I say? Heine like Tommy. Flex, we got Austin Eckler. That Chargers game, we go back to it. He's expensive, man, but I'll tell you, that game's going to be a bloodbath. I love the over there, which means it's probably 17-14 is your final. And Kansas City Chiefs because defenses don't matter. There we go.
All right. These lineups are incredible. Austin.
All right, I got an even better lineup for you.
Wow.
I got my stack of the week here is countering Mark's stack of the week. I'm going with Derek Carr and Deshaun Jackson. Deshaun Jackson is my wide receiver 1 price-wise this week.
Oh, my God.
I'm going Deshaun Jackson, Derek Carr. He's 5,200. Then my next 2 wide receivers are Gabriel Davis in a rivalry game on Monday night and Jalen Reagor in a bounce-back game after he throws the game. They're going to try and get him involved early on jet sweeps. I told everybody that the Jets can't guard the jet sweep. That's why it's named the jet sweep. Then we're going to look at tight end. This is the next big one. James O'Shaughnessy for the Jacksonville Jaguars. It's a really big play this week. He's getting the targets. He'll be there. The Rams are tanking. I think they're tanking for draft picks. So watch out for the Jags this week. Then the next most important part of my lineup, the Dolphins defense against Daniel Jones, who hasn't been good in 5 weeks. That guy stinks again.
In 3 seasons.
No. He was good at the start of the year. He played like 1 or 2 good games. And
Oh.
the Dolphins' defense has been great recently, scoring over 15 in 3 of the last 4 weeks. I mean, whew, sheesh. But then this is where it comes in. Now the last 3 players on my team, you're wondering, what is he saving all that money for? I'm going Jonathan Taylor, Joe Mixon, and Austin Eckler. All 3 of the top 3 running backs. I'm going all 3 of them. Jonathan Taylor, 10,500, by the way. That is absurd. I have nothing to say to that. But there you go. There's a lot of, and I'll even mark the guarantee. This lineup won't be changed, barring a injury leaving someone out of the game. I'm
Same
leaving
amount
it.
as always.
All right. Well, it looks like I got a pretty easy road to first place here this week. Some
How's
real-
that
Fuck
even mean?
you.
Yeah, when my running backs combined for 90.
some real winners coming out here. So my lineup here, my game stack that I'm rocking is going to be this. What did you just send us?
This Hall of Fame ballot.
Mark, who's the Hall of Fame ballot is this?
That's Sadio LeBron.
Oh!
I don't know who that is, but they voted for Manny Ramirez, Sammy Sosa, and Roger Clemens, but didn't vote for Barry Bonds.
Interesting.
Oh, I thought it was funnier that
They
he
voted
voted for
for
Bobby
Andy
Abreu and
Yeah.
Andy Pettit. Yeah.
I didn't even notice those. I hate this person. This person
Hell?
should die.
All right. Well, anyways, my game stack this week is going to be a bit of a bounce back game stack for the Los Angeles Rams offense. We're going to go Stafford, and we're going to get him with a couple of his targets there. Stafford, Cooper Kupp at 9,000. He's the most expensive wide receiver, but guess what? He's had 10 targets in all but one game so far this year. And you know what he did in that one game? Caught 7 for 115 and a touchdown. So safest points you can possibly get. You know, since it's a cash lineup, I'm not really looking for, 3x value or anything like that. I'm just looking for high floors, and Cooper Kupp's got the highest floor of any receiver in football. Anyways, him and Van Jefferson. I think Matt Stafford has a big game. It's a bit of a bounce back game for the Rams offense. And you know what? Sneaky. The Jags run defense, pretty good. So, maybe it's a throw it out game. Meanwhile, I'm bring it back with Laviska Shenault. Just because somebody's got to catch passes from Trevor Lawrence.
Hey, they said they were trying to get him more
they do.
involved.
Yeah.
They came out and said, let's get him more involved, and then they didn't. But maybe they were saying
I
next
think he
week.
got 9 targets.
It's true.
Yeah. Targets again. I don't know. Otherwise, we've got 2 running backs here. One in Austin Eckler. Another one of just those safe ass picks. Put him in the thing, and he does the thing. Then we've also got Clyde Edwards-Helaire on the Sunday night game against Denver. Got 14 touches last week. His first game back from injury. Denver's run defense still a little sussy baka, even if Austin Eckler didn't run particularly well on him. Maybe we'll get some more touches. Who the hell knows? Tight end Kyle Pitts going up against the Bucks. This is going to be my original game stack. I do think the game is going to be pretty high scoring from 2 offenses that don't like to run the football. So Kyle Pitts should have a pretty high floor coming into this game in terms of target share. My flex is going to be probably the grossest player in fantasy so far this season. It's the fact that he makes you feel icky every time you look at him, and that's Myles Gaskin. Not good.
He just scored a
I get what
touchdown.
you meant.
He won't score in
But-
3 straight weeks.
He scored a touchdown in 4 of his last 6 games, including 2 this last week. He's gotten 15 touches, at least, in each of his last 6 games. And they play a Giants run defense that, charitably speaking, isn't very good. Now, I don't expect a good running average from Myles Gaskin because I don't think he's a good player. But touchdown, maybe? I don't know. So Myles Gaskin is my flex. And that leaves me with the Raiders defense against the Washington football team. They got a good pass rush, and that's really all that I care about. And I don't think the Washington offense is very good. So there is that lineup. So that's FanDuel for the week.
Good job,
We'll see who
folks.
comes in first place and why it's definitely Austin. So
Dude, that lineup's gonna kill. Watch out.
all right. A couple things before we head out. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at Hot Stove Pod. That's at Hot Stove Pod on Twitter. You're on the YouTube channel. Subscribe, like the video, hit the notification bell, leave a comment if you feel like commenting. Make sure to listen to the radio show next week, WQAQ 98.1. For Mark and Josh and Austin, I'm Zach. Thank you for watching. It is 12:30 a.m. And we will see you next time.
Peace.